Questions for Coach?
I guess how different has it been this spring? First of all, just not having many tight ends healthy, and what's it been like kind of getting the guys you do have, trying to get those guys some work?
Yeah, for me it's been a lot different because for the last 6 years I haven't been able to coach. So for me to be able to get back on the field and be a part of coaching a position, be able to have position meetings and have a position, it's been a lot different. A lot that I've had to get kind of. You don't forget how to coach, but you got to kind of get back on the bike and start pedaling and get used to some things. But for me, it's been a lot different from that standpoint. And then just from, we're really banged up at tight end last year, and we're still feeling the effects of that from Sage having surgery and not being out there this spring, from Davis having surgery last year and not being out there this spring, and then Bernie got hurt a little bit there after week 1. So, but the flip side of it is Luke and Blackston and Bankspo, they've done an unbelievable job in taking their reps and just really taking advantage of their opportunities and reps. And all 3 of those guys have gotten a whole lot better. So it's been fun to see them grow this spring.
Kyle, what's your take on the passing game and how it needs to be sort of adjusted and perhaps even modernized based on y'all's what y'all are doing?
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where if you look at the I've been here 6 years, and you look at the big picture and you look at it all and you go, man, we've done some really great things in the passing game. So you can't really, as a coach, you can't just zoom in on what happened last year. You kind of look at the big picture. But the flip side of that, too, is you can't sit there and go, well, we'll just be different next year and we'll be better next year because of X, Y, and Z and not change anything. So, obviously my background has in high school and at Southeastern was, passing background. So, and that's where Coach just kind of challenged, hey, let's kind of, let's start getting this thing back to where we were. And I think that'll come with some healthy guys back on the field. But the flip side, we got to get some confidence in the passing game too. And we lost our confidence last year. And once we lost it, it was hard to get it back. So we've made some tweaks. I think the biggest thing is me and Street are sitting down together and just kind of talking about, where do we want to go in the future with this? We don't want to throw it all out the window, but the flip side of it is where do we want to go and grow this thing? And I think the biggest thing is just, let's get back to the basics. One, where the basics were, we put the ball in playmakers' hands in space, and they went and made plays in the passing game. And then the second thing is maybe we need to simplify some things, maybe some things that's kind of stacked on top of each other year after year after year. And then all of a sudden, simple concepts becomes complex concepts. So that's probably the 2 biggest things that we've looked at and kind of trying to, I wouldn't say revamp the passing game, but just kind of get back to where we were and get our confidence back. That's really the biggest thing.
Tyler mentioned the other day some new passing concepts that you guys are implementing. How did you guys sort of come up with what you wanted to do in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are just things that I've done in the past and had success with, whether it was at the high school level or the college level. So some of those things are just, we were running maybe versions of it, and this is kind of a different version of it, or maybe an updated version of it. So, we haven't overhauled the passing game, and no way that we've done that. But we have come in and added a couple tweaks to some things that we already do to take advantage of some space that defense gives you post-snap. I think for me, when I look at the passing game, there's things that a defense can do to you pre-snap, and then there's things that they're going to do to you post-snap. And a lot of times in the passing game, you get locked into, all right, what are they doing to us pre-snap? And then you can't, after the ball snapped and that play is called, you can't change what happens post-snap. And what I want to do and what, me and Coach Streeter sat down and the rest of the coaches is like, all right, post-snap, where's some grass pockets in this play call that we got called? And how can we get into those and be more, and there's no perfect play calls, but how can we get some more answers in the play call post-snap? Because nowadays you can't just line up and look to the sideline and go, all right, get me out of this bad play call, or get me out of this defense doesn't match this play call. Because as soon as you get a new play, well, the defense gets a new defense. And then you're doing this number and you run out of time to snap the football. So for me, it's like, how can we take advantage of what the defense gives us post snap and have it already built in to where, hey, if you're in, I'm out, and if you're out, I'm in. And those are some things that, you know, we've really worked hard to kind of look at our core concepts and go, all right, does this work? And then, like I said, some of the stuff is just stuff that I've done in the past, had success with, and go, hey, let's try this spring. Let's see what it looks like, get some tape of it, and then go and see if we want to continue doing it once we get into the summer and can kind of sit down and study a little bit more.
This may be a dumb question. Is it hard to try to simplify things, but also you're adding in, I guess, stuff that you're doing post snap as well?
It's not a dumb question. Nah, not really, because when we look at, thanks for coming. You can't shake these dudes, you know. That's another part that's changed. Is, you know, I get to hang out with those dudes. So you know, it's a good question from a standpoint of you're adding things and you go, well, how are you getting simple when you're adding things? Well, as we've added some things, we've actually taken away some things too. So as we've added some tweaks into core concepts, that really doesn't add a concept. It just adds to, like I said, hey, we're going to run the same routes, but as you're running that route, here's a question mark. You know, back in the, you know, I give the tight ends, hey, I give them a route to run, and I tell them they got an exclamation point at the end. That means, hey, I'm running that route. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If there's a question mark, I got some options. I can think about some things as I'm running this route and maybe do something different based off of what you as the defender is doing to me. So with those concepts, we've just added some question marks. And then with adding completely new concepts, which has not been a lot, we've just said, all right, let's put some other ones on the back burner. Let's put some other ones maybe out of the system. We don't run them, you know, we looked at the thing too and we go, all right, we got these in the system and we install them and we practice them, but they're not really great play calls in a game, so we don't call them in a game. Well, then let's quit installing them and let's quit, you know, wasting the reps on them. So I think that's where we've gone from changing and tweaking and adding to where we're still simple, though, because we are taking out too.
Coach, is part of that the ability to go deep? Part of those question marks factor into that?
You know, not necessarily. You know, the quote-unquote question mark is, hey, if they give you the deep, then let's take the deep. But if they take away the deep and say a deep pass that we've called and they take away the deep, then there's got to be somewhere where they're not. So now the question is can I get into that spot that they're not? And, you know, a good example is if you got a vertical route and let's say everybody drops out of there and takes all the verticals, well, is it smart of us just to keep running a vertical route into a bunch of, like, I'm trying to beat you and you go, no, you're not going to beat me. And I go, yeah, I'm going to beat you. And we just keep running and I never beat you, right? Well, to me, that's not real smart. So if there's nothing deep over there, then why don't we take that right there? And that's kind of the question marks that we're kind of giving the guys. And I say question marks, it's just kind of like options, you know, like options in your routes.
Is it kind of what was happening last year? It seemed like there was many deep threats to kind of loosen up the defense last year. Was there enough? Does that need to change?
No, I mean, I think any game that you go into, you got to go into a game and say, hey, I'm going to, you know, I got to force the ball downfield to take advantage of some shots. And I think to an extent, again, you got to look at personnel. At times our personnel was not there to be able to threaten the field deep. And then we just weren't consistent at times in throwing the ball downfield, and that happens too. So I think there was a mixture of things to where I can look back, and we go every year and look back, and we've got it all calculated up, and there's not a year where we go, man, we don't want to throw the ball deep this year, or hey, we want to throw the ball deep this year. No, every game that we go into, we want to take some shots. But I don't think it's smart for us just to go take shots, just to say that we're taking shots too. We need to be able to be calculated in our shots and calculated in the passes that we're calling. And then at the end of the day, you got to be able to run the football, and you got to be able to do some things in your screen game and your run game if you want to be able to take those shots downfield. And it all ties, you know, hand in hand. I got the pass game coordinator title. That means nothing. I mean, it really doesn't, because the pass game is nothing if you don't have a run game. The run game is not much if you don't have a pass game. And if you don't have that screen game to keep defenses from laying their ears back and coming and keeping them honest, none of it works. It's not going to be a consistent offense. And at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for, can we be a big play offense? Can we be a keep the ball, time management offense? We want to be a consistent offense. And consistency comes from 4 quarters of consistency, and then turn around and can you do it 7 days later? And that's where we got to get to offensively is where we're consistent in all 3 parts of the game.
Zeke obviously has been in the block a time or two.
Who has?
Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Has his experience been evident this spring?
Yeah, I mean, he is a seasoned veteran. That's a good way of putting Luke. And at times he walks in and he looks like a seasoned veteran at times. But I'm still getting used to him coming in and bare feet and just, he likes to make himself at home in the position. And so I'm still getting used to that. But he's been great. I mean, all of the guys have been awesome, and I'm still getting my feet wet with the tight ends as a position group. I've coached wide receivers in the past and quarterbacks in the past. So this is kind of my first go-around with tight ends. So it's been fun to be able to be with them. And they have a different, how do you put it? Is temperament the word I'm looking for? They have a different temperament than wide receivers. And they definitely have a different temperament than quarterbacks. So I've had to adjust to that too. But they've been awesome. I got a question in the back here. Davis Allen. Davis Allen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
Nice to meet you. What kind of beer?
Oh, great meeting you. See, he hasn't been out all spring, and here we are, just meeting each other. Great to meet you. Nice handshake. It's like your shoulder's back healthy or something.
What kind of beard treatment do you use?
Well, I do have a little bit of a beard oil that I put in it, and I put that in after I shower just to kind of keep the moisture in there. I do like to go get a good beard trim every 2 weeks, right? And I like to do it on Friday because the place that I go to get the beard trim on Friday, they like to play hip-hop music on Friday, and you know that I'm a big fan of what?
Yeah, can you talk about Chronic?
No, we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, I appreciate the question, and I think you guys have got to go, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right.
I actually talked to Dupree Hart, and he brought up that in
little man, Dupree Hart.
that in meetings you would play Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah. I'm glad you put Tupac ahead of Biggie. That means you truly did talk to Dupree because he knows that that's the way I rank them. All right. Yeah, I love music, so that's one thing they've had to get used to. All right. So I go into meetings and I play music while we meet and do our thing, and usually I give them a music history lesson before whatever music I'm going to play them. So the other day I gave them the West Coast rap kind of from late 80s to carry us to about early 2000s. I gave them that history lesson, and they thoroughly enjoyed learning more about. I mean, you got to teach them more than just what's on the field. Am I right? Right. Okay. So we're trying to develop the whole tight end here, on and off the field, and I think music is very important in that.
Have they been pretty open-minded about?
Not at all. Not at all. But it doesn't matter because it's my room.
What do you think about the
I'm kidding, man.
overall execution, just like passing in the spring and scrimmages so far?
It goes back to that word consistency. Like that's what we got to strive for. We started this scrimmage not very good to start, and then we finished pretty good at the end. And we've had some great practices where you come on the field like, man, we're gonna be really good offensive and explosive, and then you come out of, say like today, the first quarter, and you're like, geez, like what's the deal? But we're still growing as an offensive staff together. We're also still growing these kids together, adapting to us. But then we're out there, playing with some guys that are not going to get that many reps when it comes to the fall, and then we're not playing some guys that are going to get a ton of reps when it comes to the fall. So I don't think you can go into the spring or come out of the spring and go, man, this is either going to be like this or it's going to be like this. It goes back to that, and I keep saying it, but it goes back to try to teach them some consistency now, regardless of who's out there. Try to teach them some consistency now, preach consistency, and then when we do get, everybody back healthy, because we're going to get in the season and we're going to get banged up. It's just part of football. But the consistency doesn't change, regardless of if the injury bug hits you or whatever happens. And we're getting there. But like I said today, we might not have started out the scrimmage the way we wanted to offensively, but we ended the scrimmage the way we wanted to offensively, and that's a positive too, because the guys didn't go and throw it in the tank early. They came back, they responded, they got their confidence back up, and they went and finished the way they should have.
What particular areas do you feel like you guys need to come along to sort of reach that consistency that you want?
We got to get, I hate to say it, we got to get healthy. We got to get healthy in the tight end room. We got to get healthy in the running back room. We got to get healthy in the offensive line, and we got to get the health back so all the guys can start taking the reps that are needed to take this offense to the level that we need to take it to. But I think we're going to be great. It's just a matter of piecing it all together and getting everybody back so we can take those next steps.
You mentioned needing to build confidence. So how do you go about trying to build confidence, and where do you feel like the confidence level is right now in the passing game for the players?
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. And how you build confidence is you don't beat them up all the time. There's bad things that are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen in life. There's good things that are going to happen in life. Man, there's going to be some great things that happen in life. And you got to, and what I've told tight ends, we're going to fix the bad things, and we're going to have more good things than fixed things. And then we're going to take the good things and find out how do we make the good things great things. And that's how you build confidence. If I just go in to practice, if I go into the meeting every day and all I am is harping on the fix, negative, you're never going to build confidence. So again, today at the first half of this scrimmage, it was more of a fix type scrimmage, first half of the scrimmage. But you don't go harp on the fix, negative, and beat them up, and then there's no response from good to great, which is what we went to today. We went from fix to good to great by the end of that scrimmage. Now what we want to do is we want to take the fix and we want to dwindle it down. You're always going to be fixing something, but that's the challenge. We want to dwindle the fix down to where we're not fixing as much. Then we want to take the good and we want to dwindle the good down to where the good has become more great. And then at that point, when you get to greatness, you start having consistency, and then at that point, you're a pretty darn good offense.
Coach, David has talked about how he likes to have guys like you and Mickey with high school backgrounds.
Yep.
What does he mean by that? What perspective do you think you bring?
I think it's just because, one, we, you truly appreciate, I was thinking about this the other day, you truly appreciate coming to work every day and be able just to coach football, So me and Mickey kid around all the time. We say every college coach. So I coached 1AA before. I was high school 1AA and then went back to high school. And me and Mickey, there's a ton of college coaches who never coached high school, right? And we go, everybody should have to start out in high school. And they're always like, wow. I was like, because y'all don't know how to be the equipment manager. Y'all don't know how to be the janitor. Y'all don't know how to be the security of the locker room. And oh, by the way, y'all don't know how to teach 8 hours a day to people that don't even care about football, right? Y'all don't have to go to staff meetings, right, after school, and then race your butt out to practice and hope that your kids ain't killed each other on the field, right? By the time you get out there from the staff meeting, y'all don't have to worry about in the summer. I mean, we get time off in the summer. You don't get time off in the summer as a high school coach. You're on a bus to 7-on-7. You're on a bus to camp. You're getting ready for, August practice to start up. And half the time you're doing it with about 7 or 8 people. I mean, our staff room has gotten so big, we just had to blow it up and build another one, right? But you turn around and you got 7, 8 people to do 50 jobs. And then you come here and you truly appreciate, like, I wake up every morning and I mean, it's awesome. I wake up every morning and I don't have to do bus duty. Every morning I wake up, I don't have to do bus duty. And then I go down to the bistro and I walk around and I go, man, I should be doing cafeteria duty down here. I'm waiting for a fight to break out to start breaking it up. But I go over there and I go to the iPad and I order me a little meal. I sit down and don't have anybody, and I eat and I don't have anybody telling me, hey, the bell's getting ready to ring. You got to run over there and grab your duty outside A hall, right? And then I go watch football all day, and I coach football. I mean, it truly makes you appreciate. I just get to be a football coach.
So it's work ethic, but it's more perspective.
Yeah, I mean, everybody works hard at high school, college, but it's just like, you get to truly just be a football coach, and it's fun. It's fun. It's hard. Like I said, you got some good days and you got some bad days, and you work just as hard in high school and you work just as hard here in college. Now the flip side of it is I got to go on the road recruiting here, where in high school you stuck with what you got. All right, you better be in the halls getting some kids to play. But there's just a lot of different hats that you wear in high school, and that's been the difference. But for me, like the last time I walked, I mean, it's been a long process for me being at Clemson, just being, honest. 2015, the last time I coached football until this spring, I'm walking off the field at Williams-Brice with a state championship trophy in hand, and we just won the state championship, and everything's good. And the last picture I took with my staff was in Williams-Brice Stadium, and I looked around and I told them right after we took the picture, we're in the visitor tunnel. I go, y'all know we got 18 out of 22 returning on this team. We just won a state championship 63-13, right? And I said, we got 18 out of 22 returning on this team right here. Man, we're going to be right back here. We're going to be right back here next year. And we're all like walking off the field like, yeah, here we go. And then 2 months later, I put my coaching career on a hiatus for 6 years and don't coach. If you told me for 6 years, if I was in that tunnel and you said, what's your name? Todd. Kyle Richardson, nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you.
If you told me, Todd, in that tunnel 6 years ago that you weren't going to coach football for 6 years, I'd have laughed you out of that tunnel. All right? But here we are. So at the end of the day, God's got a plan. God has also got his own timing. And it's all worked out, and it's been great. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of days I go, man, I'm sure I'm glad that I'm not on bus duty, cafeteria duty, even with those 18 out of 22 returning, right? So,
during that 6 years, was there ever times where it was hard, or were you thinking how much you missed it, or wondering would you ever get?
Oh, I missed it. I mean, I missed it every day, and it was very difficult. I had opportunities to leave and go to college, and go to a different college. But like I said, I part of me was race out the door and go get back on the field, and then the other part of me was like just stay patient and keep doing what like I said, what God's plan is. And for me, God's plan I felt was to be right here, and he opened up these doors, and at that point he hadn't closed them. But I would say the most ironic part of it is there was one I kind of had gone. First of all, I love high school football, and I love coaching high school football, and it truly was a passion of mine, and still is. And but there was a couple every year I'd start missing it so much. I go, man, I think this is it. I think I'm gonna go back to high school football. Yeah. And there was, I'm not gonna name the job, but there was one specific job in the state of South Carolina, and I was like, that job opens, and I haven't got on the field at Clemson. I'm gonna go try to get that job. Well, that job opened, and I looked at my wife, and I started telling her, hey, I think I'm gonna start getting my stuff together and go after this job. And crazy enough, like I said, God's plan, God's timing. As soon as I started getting my head around, I'm gonna go after that high school job in this state, about an hour and a half down the road. About a day or two later is when Virginia hired Coach E, and Coach Sweeney called me and promoted me to the tight ends coach. So to me, that was kind of, because I was ready to roll. I was done not coaching, I was done not making an impact with these kids, and I was ready to go. I was ready to go get it done back at the high school level. And that to me just that was kind of a, God wink saying, hey, the timing of it. Oh yeah, now you're ready to go back. You go, oh, the job that you wanted is there. And then Coach Sweeney called me in and offered me a job. The craziest part of all that is I was laying on my back after, back surgery, and could not go coach. Once I had the job, I still couldn't go coach. And that was kind of difficult too, because it was like, all right, you got to be patient a little bit longer. I'm like, geez, how long do I got to be patient? But anyway,
I think you said that you told Coach Sweeney that if all I had to do was lay on my back and get surgery, it would have done it sooner.
I'd have done it a long time ago. And actually, this is I did have a surgery before this back surgery, so I've had two. I guess I needed to give him the heads up on the first one that I had, because if that's all I had to do, I would have done it probably a long time ago, or at least give him the heads up that, hey, even for back surgery, if possibly a job open.
You were talking about you can't obviously go recruit as a high school coach, so you have to work with what you got. I mean, again, going back to Dupree, it's like a 5'6" receiver. You move on to quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that? Why do you feel like he could fit that position? What is your philosophy in terms of players fitting the scheme as far as, or the scheme fitting the player?
Well, I think it goes back to what we said earlier. You got to put your players in position to make plays. And for that year, we were just coming off, when I moved into quarterback, he was like 60, 70 catches away from being the national record holder of all time of receiving. He had already broke A.J. Green, all his records in the state, but we were not very good at quarterback. Mason Rudolph had just graduated and gone to Oklahoma State, and I thought we were going to be okay at quarterback, and after about 3-4 games, I realized we weren't very good. And at that point, you got to put your players in position to make plays. And for the team, the best thing was for Dupree to go to quarterback. For Dupree personally, stay at receiver and go break the records. But he's always been a team player. He's always been just a kid that's always been about hey, I want to win and do what's best for the team. So I moved into quarterback, and we won, I think, like 9 straight games at that point, or 8 straight games, and took off to the playoffs. So again, no different than what we do here. If you produce and make plays, you're going to find a way on the field, and then it's our job to put you in the best position to go make those plays.
Passing game coordinator, what do you kind of see your role, your main objective just with that title?
I mean, just to me, every day that I come to work, I want to be the best tight ends coach in the country, regardless of passing game, run game. Like I know tight ends got to do it all. They got to be in the run game, heavy in the run game. They got to be heavy in the pass game. And they got to be able to be in the box and outside the box. So my job is to come in, regardless of passing game coordinator title, come in and be the best tight ends coach in the country. So I don't really come in and go, man, this title's great, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm going to put my input in on the passing game, and then I'm going to put my input in on the run game, because at the end of the day, I've been an offensive coordinator and I've been a head coach. And you got to be able to obviously dabble in it all as an offensive coordinator. So I got the passing game coordinator title. It's great, but at the end of the day, I'm the tight ends coach, and it's my job to make them the most successful, put them in the most successful position they can be in, day in and day out.
Does Davis Allen have the potential to be the most versatile tight end that's been around here in a while?
I think he's got a chance to kind of stamp his legacy as a great Clemson tight end. Versatility is something that, he's a great inside the box player and physical inside, and he's a great outside the box player and a matchup guy outside the box, and you saw that last year in some of the plays that he was making. We've had some great tight ends come through Clemson, and he's just another one that I think at the end of the day he's going to have that great tag on the other side of his name, and he decides he wants to go on to the next level. He's one of those guys that he's just a professional. He's a professional in college, and he's going to be a great professional, in the pros. I just hope he sticks around a little bit longer and still becomes stays a great college professional, because he's a joy to be around and just a great kid.
What did you see from DJ and K today, and what have you seen from them throughout the spring?
They've had some really, really good days, and they've had some days where we got to go fix some stuff. But the great thing about both of those guys is they just come to work every day. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. They just come to work every day, and they'll be in there tonight watching this film and trying to get better, and they'll be in there in the morning. I mean, when they're not in school, they're over there meeting. So I love the consistency part of that, and now you got to get the consistency part of it to translate to the field. But they work their tails off, and they've done some great things this spring. Like I said, we just got to get a little bit more consistent.
You talk about adding question marks, and then obviously the quarterback and receiver have to be on the same page about what the question mark turns into. How much stress does that put on the quarterback?
It just comes with time and reps, and it's that's really all it comes down to. We're not doing anything different than a lot of college and NFL passing teams do. I did a little bit of this stuff already in high school with high school kids, but you don't do it overnight, and you don't do it without repping it a ton and practicing it a ton. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to time and reps. Good.
Any more questions?
Good.